You're gonna get my good side?
I haven't known you long enough to know exactly what side that is.
I am Jeff Spann. I have been working with the Mission Investment Fund this is my 20th year as a church building consultant. We started out just in the Northeast. There were 6 building consultants, and over the years we are now down to 2. They said you can have east of the Mississippi, and the last 3 trips I've had this month, I was in San Bernardino, California, Austin, Texas, and in Kansas City, Kansas. And I don't think any of those are on this side of the Mississippi. So the other building consultant was Ann Garrett, and she is out of Minneapolis. But because of our workloads, they kind of, as the request for services comes in, they kind of look at the pipeline and say, all right, send Jeff there, or send Ann there. So we hop all over the country. As I said, I've been doing this for 20 years for the Mission Investment Fund, which is the financial arm of the ELCA. We don't just make loans to congregations that are doing anything with their buildings. We also are an investment opportunity for congregations and individuals. And to keep it simple, just with CDs and money market accounts is what we offer. You can invest in the fund and get a great rate, and then what we actually do is take those funds from the investors, and that's the money we use for our loan programs. So it's a closed circle, and the nice thing is we don't invest in the market. It's strictly CDs and money market accounts, so you will always get your principal back plus interest. So, and we haven't defaulted in over 110 years. So everybody says, geez, that's a good record. And I go, yeah, well, let's keep it going. The financial person for the Mission Investment Fund for Ohio is Kent Peterson. And I don't know if Kent's been in touch with you, Pastor, or not, but he will get copied on the brief report that I'll be putting together as well. So he might be giving you a call and just seeing if you need any kind of funding. The Mission Investment Fund also has a capital campaign services, and that is a division of the Mission Investment Fund that helps congregations with capital campaigns to raise money for a building program, for a renovation project, or even for debt reduction. So we have actually the building consulting services, the capital campaign services, and the investments and loans. So that's the Mission Investment Fund. Everything can be gotten from the website, and that's just mif.elca.org. Real simple. What I wanted to do tonight was, I took a tour with Beverly and Becky. It must have been California that I was thinking of. And Dave and Greg. So went through the whole building, and I said, well, let's start with a specific area that seems to be pushing a lot of your thoughts. Many times we're outgrowing the nave or the sanctuary. Sometimes it's our narthex is too crowded, we have no place for fellowship. So it could be a whole host of things. And the lead that I got from this afternoon's group...
Let them tell you what they think it is.
Okay, yes. What does everybody think it is? There you go. So that's our starting point, and I don't want to just do a presentation here. I wrote down some ideas and some things that I saw, but I'd like to have it as an open discussion, so if questions come up or pop up during our discussion, just, shout it out. We don't need to be real formal, and I'll try to keep it so I'm not bouncing around, but when congregations are interested in doing something with their building, there's so many different avenues that can be addressed that sometimes our conversation is going to go down many train tracks and just kind of reel me back in if I'm getting off track and and you say, no, we'll concentrate more on this other issue, I can do that as well. I am a resource for you folks. So as you're going through this process of whatever you're going to decide to do, I am the resource for everything from equipment to systems to, I've got a garage full after 20 years of file cabinets full of information that I can pass on to you folks. I've got a lot of handouts for different committees as you're going through the process. I understand it's the strategic group that's meeting tomorrow night. And that's good, that visioning, planning needs to be done, but then you'll get into some kind of a renovation or building team, and you'll get into how are we going to finance any of this work, and then there'll be I'll call it a building finance team, separate from your finance group that you have currently, the treasurer and the financial secretary and so on. To start, we're going to go ahead and take the kitchen social hall space. And I probably should mention first that this room, the worship space, is a motion to most of your congregation. If you're going to do anything in here, even change the color of the carpet, it's a motion. And you'll have everybody's comments about what it should be. The rest of the facility is really reality. What do we need to do with offices? What do we need to do with the gathering space? What do we need to do with our social space? That's all reality. So I'm going to really stay on the reality side. Last thing we can talk about is in here, but because it's emotion and everybody has their own ideas, I'll bring that up last. And this way, when we get to at 11 o'clock, you'll all be so tired you'll go home and not even talk about it.
You're going to quit that early?
My SD card doesn't go to 11.
Yeah. When the sun goes down, I'll stop. I also want to address the issues we're going to talk about in two categories. One is short-term and long-term. Long-term would be a building project or a renovation project or doing something major. It could even be adding air conditioning, but that would be, I'll put that in the long-term category. The short-term category is really maintenance items that you might already know about, leaky roofs or poor plumbing or whatever it might be. And also with short-term projects, we also look at safety and security. So I'll be mentioning some of that, especially in the world we live in today. But we have to address those issues, and I did, as we were walking down your Christian Ed wing, I did see the camera at the back door. And so I understand you probably have some kind of a security system, security cameras and so on, which is good, but those are short-term issues that need to be addressed usually immediately, and that's why I look at it as short-term. What we're going to really be looking at tonight is long-term ideas for you folks to kind of help you expand yourself. We'll try to do it within the confines and the footprint of what you have now. I don't think that's going to work, but we'll get there in a minute or two. I think it's really going to be some kind of an expansion. And that's the ideas that I'll be kicking around tonight, is to kind of get you thinking in those lines. The other thing is, with long-term projects, what we like to do is have the strategic planning group or the visioning planning team come up with a prioritized list of space needs, work that would like to be seen done, that wish list, so to speak. But I stress prioritizing it because that is usually what work you want to do is in column A of that prioritized list. Why are we looking at kitchen first? Why are we looking at social hall second? Why are we looking at redoing the restrooms third? Whatever it might be. Column 2 on that prioritized list is going to be the why, the benefit. Why are we talking about the kitchen? Why are we talking about the social space? And I think that's where we're going to start, is sizing out, and I'll just start with the nave, even though we're going to come back at the end with the nave, the sanctuary space. But if this room was empty, we look at 12 square feet per person to sit comfortably in this space with a chancel no more, chancel being all of this you have up here, being no more than a third the size of the room. You're starting to encroach to half. We'll get into that when we start talking about the space. But that 12 square feet per person is comfortable seating. So I'm going to take the same concept and now talk about the social space. In social halls, we look at 10 square feet per person at rectangular tables, 14 at round. I do have a lot of this that I'm going to leave with you, so you don't have to write all of this down, but you can make notes if you want. I see that there's both round and rectangular in your social space, so you probably can just average it out and say 12 square feet per person as well in that room. Again, that's reality. Be realistic. Measure the room, and it'll tell you at 10 or 12 square feet per person how many people comfortably could fit in that room. And I will tell you, not many. So when you say, let's talk about the kitchen, let's also talk about the hall, because the hall's not big enough. And I think you all realize that. The other problem you have is that was the original worship space. It was designed for worship. When they transformed it to social space, they put a hard flooring down, you've got a hard wood decking ceiling, and you got hard walls. So the acoustics in that room become very difficult to understand, at even sitting across from somebody at a table. So there's some drawbacks to that space already that I saw. So let's look at keeping the old social space and working with that as number one. And I'm going to take my glasses off because I can't see what I'm reading. I don't see any way, and I'm not an architect or an engineer, but I don't see an easy way of expanding the social hall. So you're kind of locked in. It's not that the kitchen is small, which it is, but the room itself doesn't help your social events, doesn't help your congregation, because I understand we're looking at 180 on a Sunday as an average worship. I heard that
Between
back.
all three services, yeah.
Of all three services.
Together, yeah.
But realize, if I come to the early service, and my wife comes to the late service, and my daughter comes to the Saturday night service, let's just say, all three of us are coming to the social event. So that means that room needs to be large enough for 180 people, if that's what your worship attendance is. It should be larger, but that should be the minimum size, and that room is nowhere near able to handle 180 people. No way. So, looking at that, and no way to really expand it, I'm leaving that building there. And I would say that the benefit there would be, it's great community space, bridal showers, that kind of thing. If people want a small venue to have a dinner or some kind of a party. And you've got the kitchen there that works well enough to be what we call a catering kitchen. Whoever is going to use the space, whatever community group, they're not going to be cooking turkey in there. So they're going to be bringing hot dishes or something that they need to warm up. That kitchen's fine for that. That then is community space. The one plus that you already have is that community space now also has what we call services or restrooms and a separate entrance. So that part of the building could be locked off. And this goes to that security, safety thing. So I see, and plus it's also the furthest distance from where we're sitting. So if you say, oh, we're having a luncheon after the service, You're making me walk a mile and a half to go down and have a sandwich. So it's the furthest part of the building, furthest distance. So it's great community space. So something can be going on down there with the community, and you can still have a church function going on, even worship. And the two would not collide. So I think it's great community space, and it's there, and I would not probably take it down or raise it, as people say, because I think it's useful. Again, it has community space, even small venues for you folks. But I really do think that probably if you're looking at any option, you're going to need to look at constructing a new social hall. And the benefits, again, we're looking at benefits of why I'm even saying this.